Hello, and welcome to GP Podcast. Today, we're diving deep into a story that's brewing in the heart of Silicon Valley. A story full of ambition, secrecy, and honestly, a few high-tech ghosts. There's a project taking shape that could completely redefine how we interact with AI, or, it could just become its next spectacular failure. We are talking about OpenAI's rumored AI pen. But let's just start with a simple question, something almost out of science fiction. What if your pen, the most basic tool for writing, for thinking, for creating, what if it could think with you? What if it could listen, see, and plug you directly into the most powerful AI on the entire planet? This isn't just a cool idea. It's the central mystery we're going to unravel today. So inside the company, the project has a code name, Gomdrop. And get this, it's not just an OpenAI thing. It's a secret alliance with Lovefrom, the design firm started by Jony Ive. Yeah, that Jony Ive. The absolute legend behind the look and feel of the iPhone, the iMac, pretty much every iconic Apple device. So the stakes here, they couldn't be higher. So what is this thing exactly? Well, from what we've heard through the grapevine, Gomdrop is an AI-powered pen, and we might see it launch sometime in 2026 or 2027. Now, it's not supposed to replace your phone. The idea is for it to be a third device, something simpler, more focused. But before we all get way too excited, we have to admit, the story feels hauntingly familiar. And that's because we have heard these revolutionary promises before, haven't we? To really understand where Gomdrop might be heading, we first have to take a little walk through the cemetery of AI hardware. You know, the place where all these brilliant ideas go to die. Our tour of this graveyard begins with two very recent, very public ghosts, the Humane AI pen and the Rabbit R1. Both of them promised to completely change how we use AI, and, well, both of them ended in pretty spectacular failure. And that has set a really dangerous precedent for any device that dares to follow. First up, the Humane AI pen. This thing was created by ex-Apple execs, and it raised a mind-boggling $230 million. But with a $700 price tag plus a monthly subscription, it was a total disaster. They were hoping to sell 100,000 of them and barely managed to sell 10,000. The company ended up selling its assets for about half of what they raised, leaving all those early buyers with a useless, really expensive paperwork. And the critics? Oh, they were brutal. It was widely called one of the worst consumer tech products in recent memory. This wasn't just a product that flopped, it was a massive cautionary tale written in hundreds of millions of dollars of burning cash, and it left a really deep scar on the market. And then came the Rabbit R1. At a much more reasonable $199, it actually looked promising. It had 100,000 pre-orders right out of the gate, but just 5 months later, only 5,000 people were actually still using it. The founder even admitted they rushed it to market, it had security flaws that exposed user data, and the press quickly labeled it another hardware disaster of 2024. So what does all of this mean for OpenAI? Well, these failures have created an absolute mountain of challenges. They aren't just trying to launch a new product, they're trying to resurrect an entire category of devices from the grave. Let's break down the huge obstacles that are standing in their way. First and foremost is just habit. Think about it. Your smartphone has been your go-to device for pretty much everything for, 15 years now? Every app you use, every swipe and tap, your whole digital life is on that little rectangle in your pocket. The iPhone worked because it made things you already did even better. A pen, on the other hand, it's asking you to create a completely new habit from scratch. That's a tall order. And then there's the issue of trust. Who are the people most likely to buy a first-generation AI device? The early adopters, right? But those are the exact people who just got burned by Humane and Rabbit. Trying to convince them to take another gamble to spend their hard-earned money again, that is going to be incredibly difficult. Now let's talk about the price, because this is where it gets really interesting. OpenAI hasn't said a word, of course, but we can look at the landscape. You've got the Rabbit at $199, Meta's Ray-Bans start at around $300, and then the Humane pen all the way up at $700. Now, given that this is a Jony Ive design we're talking about, my bet is it's going to be a premium product. I'm thinking it'll probably land somewhere between $400 and $600, plus I'd bet a subscription fee on top. And this brings us to what might be the most unsettling challenge of all, privacy. A device like this is going to have cameras and microphones that are always on, connected directly to OpenAI servers. Every note you jot down, every conversation happening nearby, all of it could be processed and stored. It's a massive security and privacy nightmare waiting to happen, and it could honestly stop this whole project dead in its tracks.
So after looking at all these challenges, there is one giant question that just hangs over everything. Why on earth is OpenAI making a pen when the rest of the tech world seems to agree that smart glasses are the future?
I mean, this really shows you what a huge strategic gamble this is. You've got Meta, Google, Apple, Amazon, all the heavy hitters. They're all betting on glasses. Why? Because glasses build on a habit people already have. They're hands-free, and they're slowly becoming more socially acceptable. A pen goes against every single one of those trends. So you have to wonder, is OpenAI smarter than everyone else, or are they making a massive, massive mistake?
Okay, so I know I've been pretty skeptical up to this point, but let's play devil's advocate for a minute. What if OpenAI has some secret weapons up its sleeve that could let them succeed where everyone else has failed so spectacularly? There are actually a few pretty compelling reasons for hope.
First, and this is a big one, unlike Humane or Rabbit, OpenAI is the AI. They control ChatGPT, the most powerful consumer AI on the planet. Second, you've got the Jony Ive effect. The man is a design genius who can turn products people didn't even know they wanted into things they can't live without. Third, they have the benefit of hindsight. They've seen the failures and they can learn from them. And finally, by marketing it as a tool to go with your phone, not a replacement for it, they dramatically lower the stakes and what users expect from it.
So, after weighing the ghost of AI hardware past against the secret weapons of the future, where does that leave us? Let's pull all this together and make a final prediction for the fate of Gomdrop.
Here's what I think is going to happen. It will be a beautifully designed, technologically impressive, and really powerful niche product. It will absolutely be a must-have for the OpenAI superfans and the design geeks out there, but I just don't believe it's going to achieve mass-market success.
And here's why. The pros are just undeniable. It's going to have the best-in-class AI and world-class design, period. But the cons are just as powerful. It solves a problem that, let's be honest, might not be a critical one for most people. And those privacy and price hurdles, they are going to be enormous. It's just not a convincing enough package for the average person to jump on board.
Which brings us to our final big question. Is this pen a true glimpse into the future of how we'll interact with computers, or is it just a really, really smart gadget that's destined for that drawer where all our other forgotten tech lives? What do you think? Is this the next big thing, a real game changer, or is it just another ghost in the making? I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments. And if you like this explainer and want to see more like it, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and maybe even share the video with a friend. Thanks for joining us.